Are Africans ready for democracy? Are Africans ready for democracy? We all talk about we want to rule ourselves. We're tired of the colonialists and their rhetorics. Are we ready for democracy? Democracy means respect. Democracy means consideration of the peoples. Democracy means consideration of other people. Democracy means I'm thinking red is better than white. You thinking white is better than red. Well, I'm going to respect you and we're going to continue. We're not going to start fighting each other and killing one another. There's one thing I've noticed about Africans and black people in general. You can say 100 things that they like, they agree on. They will clap their hand for you. But if you say one thing they don't agree with, they will forget every good thing you've said in the past. Let me repeat myself. Black people in general, you may do 100 things that are positive to them. They will clap their hand for you. Oh, we appreciate you. We like you. You're such a good guy, so smart. Until you say one thing they do not agree with. Then they question everything you stand for. Other people know how to, okay, I think you like red, I like white. I don't agree with you, but I'm still standing by your side because, I'm considering the majority of things we agree upon. We cannot separate ourselves and part ways just because you say something I don't agree with. That is something we need to learn, fellas. We are in Cameroon. It's Cameroon. Okay? I have never been there, so I cannot say beautiful place, lovely people. I'm very authentic, I tell you the truth. So Cameroonian President Paul Biya has reshuffled the military. Okay, the head of military, all the commanders, all the significant people that in the military have been reshuffled. He's moving people here, moving people there. Some of them have been upgraded, in the military, and some of them have been moved. You're asking yourself, why? Why is he doing this? Well, he's doing this because he's planning to represent himself once more as a president candidate of the elections. Cameroonian President Paul Biya undertook a significant reshuffle of the country's top military leadership in mid-July 2025. Just 2 days after formally announcing his candidacy for the 8th term in October 12. 8th term, my brother. You want to be president for 8 times. Like 8 times because he feels like Cameroon, look at Cameroon here, look at all these people. Amongst all these people, only him is capable of running the country. For the 8th time. And I ask myself, who are the problem of Africa? Let me continue first before we bash each other here. Paul Biya issued a series of decrees appointing new chiefs of staff for infantry, air force, the navy, and promoting 8 brigadier generals to major generals. So basically what he's done is what? He has reshuffled the entire army. So all the leaders, the commanders, on the ground, in the air, in the navy, everybody been reshuffled. Special security, reshuffled everybody. Because he wants to make sure that when he runs for presidency again, he's got the total support of the army. Obviously, when you run for president and you feel like you're going to be contested, you need to make sure that the army is behind you. How do you do it? Well, you reshuffle. You make some of the people that were lower grade, higher grade. You propose them higher salaries. You issue them authority so they can be faithful and loyal to you. Well, how old is the Cameroonian president? He's 92 years old. Yes, the man is 92 years old, as you can see. In many instances, there was a specific video I watched of him where he didn't really know where he was. He was in a stage and they were telling him, oh, now you need to stand up.
Totally unaware of what is happening around him. He does not even know his aides keep explaining what he needs to do and telling him how important the event is. And he does not even know. He just keeps fiddling with the paper in front of him and passing that. This is the sad reality of the kind of presidents that we have running most African countries.
Le monsieur vous a introduit. Il y avait un monsieur de vous qui vous a introduit. Je dois parler maintenant.
That's the president of Cameroon. I know you've probably met a Cameroonian. Do you know soccer? Do you play soccer? Roger Miller. Yeah, that's a Cameroon. Francis Ngannou, the MMA fighter. That's a Cameroonian. So look at this, fellas. On July 13th, 2025, Biya officially declared his candidacy for the 8th presidential term. 8 times, brother. 8 times. And you're talking about Europeans being the oppressors. I don't know about that. I'm always going to tell you the truth. I'm never going to sugarcoat. I'll tell you the truth. You're not necessarily nice people. I'm sorry. And I know this is rubbing you the wrong way. You are not. Look how you treat each other. That's what I'm saying to you. July 16, he started reshuffling senior military leadership. Why? To make sure he stays president. Why would you do that? If you want to give everybody a fair share to the power, why would you do that? Why would you reshuffle if you're probably leaving? Now, my question is this. This is not necessary. I mean, this man has been president for 42 years. 42 years. And some areas of Cameroon doesn't even have water. Okay, it's a Russian church that came to some areas of Cameroon to allow them to get water underground. What do you call it? From a well, to build a well for a country. And in Cameroon, you can't talk negative about the president. You can't do that. You talk about democracy. In Cameroon, lawyers are beaten up for talking about the president. Yes. Military beats lawyers up. Imagine, so if they can beat a lawyer up, how about you, a citizen? And you're talking about colonialism. What's colonialism compared to this? Are we ready? Are African people ready for freedom? Are African people ready for what they're asking for? I'm asking a big question. I mean, let's just go back to history. Look at Sudan. Sudan, north was Arabs, south with black people. They say you're mistreating us, as black people. Your region is developed, ours is underdeveloped. You don't look after us. How about we cut the country in two parts so we can have our own country? They went through war. They fought. They say, okay, they're unaliving us. We want our own country. Well, their wish was granted. They had their own country. What are they doing right now? What are the black Sudanese people doing right now? They're unaliving each other. Bad. 400,000 people gone because they're fighting over power. Is the problem really people from different race? I'm just asking. Is the problem really people from different race? I mean, it's very easy to say Americans, white people are shooting our brothers, our black Americans over there. It's very easy to say there's racism all over Europe and stuff. How do you treat each other? That's what I'm saying. Lawyers are beaten up. There's a singer in Cameroon who made a song, saying we are tired, we want freedom. I mean, this is like their version of Jay-Z. Like, it was that big. They beat him up so bad by security forces. He started reminding them. He says, listen, have you forgotten me? I made a song for the president praising his glory for many times. Why are you treating me this way? They almost killed that man. Are Africans ready? I'm just asking. Now, does this mean it's the Cameroonian president himself that wants to stay president? Well, not necessarily. Because in some cases, it's not even the president that wants to stay president. In some cases, it's family members that tell him, listen, you've been here for 40 years. This is the only life we know. Being praised, driving in big cars, traveling when we want. Why do you want to take that away from us? Who's got a gun on your head? Who's going to resist you? Please don't do that. Yes. Sometimes it's external people that say, listen, president, we still need you. Sometimes African people come into power with good mentality, good ideas, actually wanting to make the country better until they meet people that are appointed in office. Those are the people that want to loot the country because they want to live high life, building big villas, have big houses and travel. They don't want to take that away. It's like they become addicted to power. It's not about the people, it's about themselves. And I'm 100%, maybe not 100% sure, I'm sure this president was pushed by somebody. 92 years old, he's been in power since 1982. And he's still going. He's 92. He's going to stay for another 7 years as president. Let me know how you feel about this reshuffling of the army, changing people here and there with the goal, like many experts say, is to try to gain the loyalty of the army. Obviously, when somebody pushes you in a position where you become a commander-in-chief of some military section in the army, or they move you, upgrade you, you will stay faithful and loyal, right? 92 years old, want to be president again for the 8th time because he feels like Cameroon has nobody smart enough to run the country. You let me know how you feel about that.
Fellas, first we're gonna go to Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, you remember that country? Yes, Ibrahim Traoré, that's the guy. Burkina Faso is doing amazing things right now. They're reintegrating military personnel that got injured in war into agriculture. That is an absolutely amazing thing to do. We need to find out about this. Then we're going to Zimbabwe. Here's Zimbabwe on the map. As you can see, Zimbabwe has received help from the EAU. Yes, Dubai has sent help to Zimbabwe in medical equipment in helping Zimbabwe healthcare that's really struggling right now. This perhaps will allow Zimbabweans not to run to South Africa for help, and I think we need to find out about this. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are appreciated. Okay, let's not waste time. We're going straight to Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has a brand new initiative. The initiative is simple. It's about training former soldiers, injured soldiers, and members of the Defense Security Force in receiving training in agriculture, small ruminant, farming, poultry production, and agricultural business management. Congratulations. This is amazing. I mean, it's very simple. The country is right here, as you know. You know the context. The context is simple. The country is at war. Why is Burkina Faso at war right now? There are terrorists. Who are these terrorists? Well, Mali, this is country here, said these terrorists are sponsored by the French. Is this true or not? We don't know. However, Burkina Faso, same as Mali and Niger, were colonized by the French for the longest time. But for many, many years, France kept the military personnel stationed in these countries. Why is this, you're asking yourself? Well, France colonized them and gave them independence in the 1960s. The agreement was simple. We're going to liberate you, but in one condition. We're going to keep our soldiers on your ground, and you're going to use a currency that is printed by us. If you don't sign this agreement, you're not getting independence. Well, all these African countries signed that paper. Yeah, so the money that's still used today is printed in France, talking about democracy and freedom. It's fake. However, these three countries you see, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, finally decided we're not going to do this anymore. We can't stand for this anymore. The French soldiers that are stationed in our countries need to leave because they've been here for so long. But since they're here, there's never peace. Why? Because they are terrorists. Where do these terrorists come from? Well, Mali says terrorists are sponsored by France in the objective of creating mayhem so France can offer help. It's basically, I'm going to light up fire in your house and say to you, you want to hire mass services because we can extinguish your fire. Now, these countries were very upset because it felt like France, being such a strong, powerful country militarily, how are they struggling to terminate these terrorists that are not armed at all? And as the years go, these terrorists seem to be cleverer. They have much better equipment. They have drones now. They can see where you are. They can spot you and bombard you very easily. Where did they get the equipment? So they say something is fishy here. The French people need to go. And they left. Now, since they left, terrorism has become stronger. Now, Burkina Faso is fighting terrorism. They have two bunch of people fighting terrorism. Number one is the army, people that are trained for that. Number two are the defense security forces called the VDP. These are basically just like normal citizens like you and I. I mean, you live in a neighborhood and from time to time, some people come in your neighborhood, they take girls by force, they grape them, they unalive people, then they leave. And sometimes it happens to be your cousin or your mother. You hurt. Now, other people see that. They say, you know what? We cannot do this anymore because by the time these people come here, the army is not present. We are suffering from this. How can we resolve this? Let's find a solution. As a community, let's create this force that we call the VDP. These are civilians that are trained militarily. In case the enemy comes, even if the army is not present, we can fight them off. These are called the VDPs. Now, what has Burkina Faso done? In most cases, when some of these people get hurt and injured at war, they are meaningless to the society. Now, instead of them being meaningless, now they've created a program to reintegrate these people into agricultural programs where they can be beneficial to the country. Piga makofi again. Congratulations. So this is not limited to military. This is also the people that sacrifice the youth that have said, I'm not going to school anymore. I need to fight for my country, fight for my people. If you get injured, you're going to get integrated into agriculture, whether it's small ruminant, farming, poultry production, or agricultural business management. It matters because it helps reduce national food needs while empowering veterans. So basically, people get food, from people that are active, and it empowers these soldiers that fought for the country but now are disabled into feeling proud because when you offer to your country foods and stuff, you feel proud of yourself. It changes the image of the armed force from a militarized role to a productive and civic role. So now people don't perceive soldiers as, just killers. They're also producers. They are beneficial to the country in different terms. It offers a model of agro-rehabilitation for states facing internal conflict and food crisis. So Burkina Faso becomes a model to many other African countries that don't know what to do with this. I mean, I'll give you a very simple example, okay? There's this country right here named the DRC. It's a Democratic Republic of Congo. Next to it is another Congo, as you can see on the map. I know there's a lot of confusion. There are two Congos. There's the Democratic Republic of Congo and Congo. They used to be the same people many years ago until white people came into Africa and said, you know what? Let's chop these small land into countries. I mean, Africa was just a big land with no countries. No countries existed before 1884. I'm sure you know, but you don't like hearing that. When they came, they said, okay, let's create countries. Why were countries created? Because Europeans said, we have fought each other so much. Let's go to Africa and take gold, diamond, timber, and more. They are just savages down there, but let's not unalive one another. Why would they say that? Well, simply because in history, they've unalived each other so bad in Europe many, many, many times. Therefore, they did not want to replicate that in Africa. Now, what's the best way to do it? Let's go to Africa and create maps. Just draw on the board, say this is yours, this is his, and everybody take a chunk, so we don't have to cutthroat one another over these bunch of savages in Africa. That's how they created. And these are the land that the British took. They took Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and many more. The French took these lands here, as you can see. We have Ivory Coast, Benin, Togo, and more. The Portuguese took these lands, so forth and so forth. Now, let's get back on track. This is Congo, okay? There are two Congos, Democratic Republic of Congo and Congo. Now, in Democratic Republic of Congo, this is a country that's been through so much havoc for the past 30 years. People talk about 16 million people unalive. Now, unfortunately, the problem over there is what? Some of the problems still is when the soldiers get to war and they are hurt, when they come back, they are useless to society. So there's no other way to reintegrate them into society. And sometimes when they're unalived into the war fighting enemies, their families are left out. I mean, the wives, the children, they're left to themselves. And some soldiers I saw an interview of a soldier saying, how do I get encouraged when I see my friend's wife prostituting herself so she can make a living for the children? It doesn't encourage me because government doesn't seem to look after these people after they got. Unlike Burkina Faso, where if you're unalive at war, the government will look after your family. I think that's a strong incentive for somebody to want to go fight for their country. Now, next thing, I don't know if you're going to be happy about this. This is still Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has dissolved the Country Independent Electoral Commission. Country's Independent Electoral Commission has been dissolved. Okay, you know, Electoral Commission is basically those people that come to oversee an election, make sure that it is clear, there's no treachery, there's no funny things. They are called Independent Electoral Commission. So most countries do utilize these people, especially in Africa, in order to make sure or to ensure that the elections were actually fair and clear. The country passed a law late Wednesday abolishing Independent National Electoral Commission, which is responsible for organizing elections, citing its high cost. So they say it costs them a lot of money to have this electoral commission, overseeing elections. Now, what do they want to do? They want to do it themselves. Ministry of Interior. Now, according to officials, the decision is meant to cut public spending, with the commission budget estimated at approximately $870,000. The government also cited the need to reclaim national sovereignty and reduce foreign influence over electoral process. So let's break that down. They say expenditure $870,000 that goes to this commission. Number two, they say they want to reclaim national sovereignty. It means this electoral commission is not very much national. Okay, so it says external influence. We're going to find out about that. Now, who are these people? What is this electoral commission? Okay, who forms this electoral commission? There are political parties that are part of this. There are civil society, religious groups, and legal professionals. These are Burkinabe people. They are independent, so not affiliated to the government. They are there to count the ballots, make sure everything is correct. Now, why would the government want to suppress those people if it's not tyranny or undemocratic ideas that you have? You're asking yourself. I mean, we're just trying to be fair. I mean, we cannot be supporters just because we like Ibrahim Traore and say, okay, everything that they're doing is correct. We need to start questioning, like, why would somebody say, okay, we are going to abolish this electoral commission that makes sure there's transparency unless they have something to hide? Or maybe there's some areas of things that we don't see. Let's try to dive into this. Now, it is known that this electoral commission is receiving funds and technical assistance from international partners, the European Union, France, and sometimes the US. So you have an independent commission that ensure that you have transparent election. They are the people, international community will ask, was the election transparent? Yes or no. But these people are funded by the European Union, by international organization, by France, and by America. So Burkina Faso say, no, why would this international commission funded by foreign nations come and oversee our elections? And they cost us money, by the way. I mean, even though they're funded by all these other countries, we still allocate $870,000 to them. We could be using that to do something positive, to better the lives of orphans, to create schools or something like that. Now, my question to you is this: is that a reason justifiable? Or do you think it's just an excuse from Ibrahim Traore trying to stay for a longer time? Now, what happens? By abolishing this commission, this gets Ibrahim Traore to stay in power for more years without going through elections. Because now the election will be overseen by the interior minister that is under Ibrahim Traore. You with me? Is this independence, or is this another form of tyranny and dictatorship? Now, the question that follows is this one. If it is dictatorship, are all dictatorship bad for the country? Do you remember Gaddafi? His system was not democratic. It was dictatorship. Matter of fact, Ibrahim Traore said we are not in a democracy. Watch this.
Let's stay focused. And if we need to say it loud and clear here, we are not in a democracy. We are indeed in a revolution, progressive, popular.
So he said we're not a democracy. We're still trying to fund each other. This is not a democracy. Remember, with Libya, they still had a beautiful life without democracy. They had money every month. They got a portion of every sale the government done of petrol because they had a lot of oil. Every time the government sold oil, everybody got a percentage. Hospitals were for free. Food was significant. You almost paid nothing for petrol. If you were sick, you want to go overseas to get treated for a very difficult disease, the country looked after you and paid for your trips. It paid for your trip, paid for your medication, paid for your family member that's going to accompany you, whether you go to China, Switzerland, or America for treatment. But that was not a democracy. I mean, Western nations want to make us believe that the only thing that functions is democracy, okay? But that's not truth, because Libya showed us that even though it wasn't a democracy, it was an electoral system, they were happy people. I mean, look at Libya before democracy. Now look at Libya after democracy. Look at the difference. Libya before democracy, look how beautiful it was. Look at after democracy. So is this a good thing for Burkina Faso or not? I mean, they're doing good things for the people that are broken, that are hurt and stuff. But is this a bad signal, perhaps, from Ibrahim Traoré? Let me know about that. Now we're going to Zimbabwe. Yes, fellas, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has received equipment worth $700,000 from EAU. Yes, bolstering the country's emergency care capabilities and saving lives nationwide. Congratulations, Zimbabwe. Yeah, so they've received equipment from Dubai, if you prefer, to help them in healthcare and bolstering the capacity to emergency care.
Under the visionary leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE countries to demonstrate a strong global commitment to humanitarian assistance, sustainable development, and public health. Zimbabwe is honored to be a beneficiary of this noble vision.
Let me put it this way for you. I mean, Zimbabwe's health system is on the gutter. Matter of fact, Zimbabwe's got some of the most cleverest Africans you can think about. I mean, these guys go to school. They really work hard for that. They have some of the best doctors and nurses. But unfortunately, they cannot stay in the country because there is no money. They have to find a way out. Some go to the UK if they get an opportunity. Some try to go to South Africa, even though they're not very much liked in South Africa. It's very difficult for Zimbabweans. A lot of Zimbabweans have gone to South Africa. Now, why has this occurred? Because Zimbabweans refuse the presence of white people in the country. Yes, with Robert Mugabe, Zimbabweans kicked away all white people that lived in the country. And you're probably asking yourself a question, how did white people get to Zimbabwe? Well, these white people are descendants of the British. Remember, we spoke about colonialism when they came to Africa. When they came to Africa, everybody took a land. Zimbabwe was part of the land that was taken by the British. They colonized the land, they looted the land, they occupied the land. But they stayed. Some of them died, but they made children and they stayed. But if you looked at the society of Zimbabwe, the majority of land belonged to the white. They ran the economy of the country. They were into agriculture and many other things. Now, the president of Zimbabwe back then, Robert Mugabe, wanted to balance. He wanted to take some of the land from white people and give black people, because he said you cannot be an owner of a country if you don't own the land. But the majority of white people in Zimbabwe did not want to do that. But Robert Mugabe was a very pressure kind of guy. He put a lot of pressure on them and kicked them away. They were brutalized. Many white people left. They were hurt. Many crossed to South Africa, looking for safety. And South African white people accepted those white Zimbabweans, giving them lands to continue working into agriculture. Some went into Zambia. But after doing that, the European Union and America and the British sanctioned Zimbabwe in a way that they couldn't not trade. They kicked them out of SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is what allows you and enables you to send money to your brother in your country if you live abroad, to your auntie, in a village or in a city. The SWIFT system is what enables banks to communicate with each other. Without the SWIFT system, if you want to send money to somebody, you need to go physically to Japan and make a payment, a purchase of whatever you're looking for. SWIFT system is what allows you to make a purchase on Temu, ordering clothes, you do whatever you call that thing. Yeah, so that's the situation with Zimbabwe. And right now, they're still living in difficulties. Even though that president is dead, Robert Mugabe, long time ago, they're still under many sanctions. That's the situation of Zimbabwe. That's what it is, fellas. Let me know how you feel about this. Burkina Faso doing great things, helping all these people that have fought the war. They've sacrificed their life for the country and for the nation. When they get hurt, they get helped, they get reestablished, and they give them opportunities to work into agriculture. Instead of letting them sit and rot on chairs and being useless to the society, they're helping them reintegrate the society. They are also helping orphans and widows whose husbands and fathers die at war for them. Now, we have a big question about Ibrahim Traoré. Is he an honest person? Because we see the fact that he has kicked away this organization that oversees election, make sure it is transparent. Is this a move by him to control what's going to happen next so he can stay in power forever? Let me just remind you here that some people come with good ideas and later on, the ideas may change. Like many African presidents, they sometimes want to do good things until somebody says to them, hey, this is nice, you don't want to leave this. Is this the case of Ibrahim Traoré, or is he really fighting for sovereignty by saying that these organizations are sponsored by some external powers and we cannot control them? Let's rather our own country control our election. Zimbabwe has received help, 800,000 worth of help into emergency services and healthcare, helping them combat and be strong when it comes to those type of difficulties. Is this a good thing or not? Is this another way to sell your soul to a foreigner again? You know, why is Africa always begging? Is this begging, or let's just say, okay, that's okay because Zimbabwe needs it? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure.
And now we're moving to Swaziland. Here's Swaziland. Swaziland is now known as Eswatini. It's a kingdom, the only official monarchy in Africa, I believe in the world. So the kingdom is run by King Mswati III. Now there's a lot of criticism in Swaziland right now. Why? Because Donald Trump sent some of the most dangerous people in Swaziland. He deported people, and the opposition is very angry. We condemn the bringing of hardcore convicts in our country to mix with our young convicts who still have a chance to be rehabilitated, said Mpandlana Shongwe, a political activist from the People's United Democratic Movement. He continues saying, we can approach the court, the International Court of Justice, on any other legal institution to possibly complain. The Trump administration said they were exporting rapists, child rapists, murderers to Swaziland or Eswatini, and Eswatinis agreed to this. For some reason, we don't know. We investigated and we found out that there could be reasons that are financial, getting money from Trump, getting good favors from Trump. Trump has put pressure on many countries, including Nigeria, saying Nigeria must accept to receive in its land some of these illegal deportees. And the Nigerian government said no. This is one thing I like about Nigeria. They know how to push back. With Buhari, when he wrote something on Twitter and Twitter blocked him after Twitter blocked Donald Trump. You remember that time Twitter kicked out Donald Trump from the platform. And Buhari tweeted something and Twitter blocked him. Buhari, I believe it was him, he said, from now on, there's no more Twitter in Nigeria. You can keep that nonsense in your country, in America, not here. Don't bring it here. I'm the president. I'm speaking to my people. You cannot block my tweet in my country. Then later on, Twitter had to go and negotiate the way back in Nigeria. I don't know if Twitter is back in Nigeria. Yes. That's one thing I like about Nigerians. They're not pushovers like that. They refuse to accept. Another person named Prince Bailey from Swaziland United Democratic Front said the deportation made Eswatini look like a dumping site. Yes, it looks like a dumping, like trash. We're taking all the rubbish, we're throwing in your country because we're too good to have that. But you must some level acknowledge that you're not good enough to our level to accept that rubbish we're throwing away. He continued saying, they make our country look like a dumping site for those people that the American government view as unworthy to be in their own country. Now, how do you expect America to respect you if you would accept? It's like, I want to go to the toilet and shit, but let me go to your toilet and shit because my toilet is... You know what I'm saying? The government has reacted by saying that these deportees are on transit and will be repatriated to their respective countries. That's the reaction from the government. I mean, the government is not obliged to give an explanation because, well... if they have to say that, oh no, don't worry, we're sending them back to their country, it means at some level they feel like what we're doing is not right, okay? It doesn't look good. So they're going to be negotiating. When America dump nonsense to your country, then you have to go negotiate those people's return to their countries. America even said that some of these people have been refused back in their own countries, but you accepted that. It's crazy stuff what African leaders are doing. And now we're going to Senegal. Yes, Senegal, brother. Beautiful place, lovely people, great culture. You're going to love Senegal if you go. I suggest you go have a look at it. You truly will enjoy it. Now, France returned its last 2 military bases to Senegal forces. Congratulations. Yeah, Pigama coffee. Yeah, brother, Pigama coffee. Now, this is beautiful because this obviously signified the end of the presence of France military in Senegal. How long have they been there? For a long time.
This change is necessary. We need to reinvent our partnerships in a dynamic Africa whose youth carry great hope. That requires a real transformation in how we engage with African countries and our African partners. We need to act differently. Permanent bases are no longer needed for that.
France established its first military presence in Senegal in 1659 in a place named St. Louis. It used to be called Ndar. That's how they set up a colonial trading post and a military outpost. This marked the beginning of France's military colonial expansion. Now, for context, Senegal is this country, as you can see. It's French speaking. Why do they speak French? Because they were colonized by the French. The French came in that area since the year 16 and they've been there for the longest time. They've kept their soldiers. Now, after being beaten up, forced to speak French, to abandon their own language, forced to eat stinky cheese and stuff, they were then given independence in 1960. France told Senegal, now you are grown. You've learned enough of our culture. Now you can, run yourself in 1960. However, we're still going to keep our soldiers in your land. Okay, in 2 conditions. You're going to use our currency, the money we're going to print for you. Number 2, we're going to keep our soldiers' presence here. Yeah, that was the condition. Or else you're not getting independence. Now, for so many years, that's how it's been. In all these countries you see here, all these French-speaking countries, have had for many years a French soldier stationed there, working from there. Yeah, that's what it was. Like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and all of these other countries. Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, all of France. It's like they use money that is printed in France. Imagine, you're calling yourself a free country, but the currency you use is printed in France for you, and you say you're a free country. Crazy stuff, brother. Now, 2 years ago, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger decided to kick out the French soldiers of the country. They say, you need to leave now. Okay, we are grown. We can take care of ourselves. Thank you very much for the service. Thank you for teaching us to speak French. Thank you for the stinky cheese and all that. But thank you. Okay, now we're going to embrace back our Africanism. French trying to be funny, but eventually they left. And later on, Senegal said through the president that the French have to leave the country. Senegal President Bassirou Diomaye Faye officially called the withdrawal of French military base in November 2024. He stated that France should close its military base in Senegal, arguing that such bases were incompatible with national sovereignty. I mean, you can't have people in your house while you're grown. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. And the French felt triggered by that. They were angry. On March 7, 2025, France began the withdrawal process by handing back several military installations in Dakar, notably the Marshal Saint-Exupéry neighborhood. On July 1st, 2025, the communication center in Rufisque is handed over to the Senegalese. A communication center by the French, my brother. Communication center. France people have a communication center in Senegal. What does this mean? This communication center is to listen to phone calls between boats. You see the map, you see the sea, boats speaking with other boats, boats speaking to the land, countries speaking to the next country, and also listening to terrorists in Burkina Faso. Now you tell me, if they're listening to boat and land, terrorists, are you telling me they're not listening to government? This is espionage. Now imagine another country has legally an espionage spot in your country. Crazy stuff. They know everything the president talk about. I mean, think about this. African presidents still use cell phones that are created in Europe and the West, with the softwares and operating system created by the West. And you're telling me they cannot listen to your calls? And you don't want to invest into cybersecurity technology so you can build your own cell phones and your own systems? It makes no sense. I don't understand. It's like childhood in the brain. Well, eventually, France has decided finally on July 17th to hand over the last base to Senegal. Is this good news or not? Congratulations to that. It's a beautiful thing. Well, France and Senegal have a very long story. Matter of fact, during World War II, Senegal sent some of his soldiers in France to go and fight. They were called the tirailleurs sénégalais. It wasn't just Senegalese people. Okay, they recruited many people from all these French colonies. Gabon, Benin, Togo, Senegal, and many other places. They went to France to fight for France when France was being beat up bad by the Germans. You can see the pictures. These people were called tirailleurs sénégalais. They went and fought for France valiantly. Obviously, France gave them promises saying, listen, if you fight and win for us, what's going to happen is we're going to give you French citizenships. Okay, we're going to give you insurances. You're going to get a salary. Your life are going to change. You're going to be one of us. Now, unfortunately, very quickly, when they went to war, what happened was, it was winter. It was very difficult. And during winter, some people say that the tirailleurs sénégalais were barefoot. They had no shoes in their feet. So some accounts say it's because the tirailleurs sénégalais said they don't want to wear shoes. Okay? And some accounts say it's because the French refused to give them shoes. They say all these Africans, they don't need shoes. Now, which one do you think is the right account? I don't know. You tell me. Now, the most important thing is they fought the war and they won. They were very, very strong. But when time came to enter Paris, which is the capital of France, even though the Senegalese tirailleurs, these African people, these black people, won the war, they were pushing the Germans back. The general at the time of France, General de Gaulle, made sure that all the soldiers of France, when they were marching into Paris, reclaiming it, when people were clapping their hand for them to say the France soldiers have recuperated Paris. He made sure that the soldiers, all of them were all white. He removed the black people. Yeah. Black people won that war, but he removed all of them so that it doesn't change something into the mind of the French person saying black people came to save us. And guess what? After the end of the war, those people were supposed to be paid. They didn't get paid. You know what he said to them? Okay, you guys need to come. They took some of them back to Senegal, and they put them in the line and they shot them. Yes, they shot those people who fought war for them. That is the history of Africa and France. And then Emmanuel Macron says, I don't understand why you're bringing up an anti-French sentiment. I mean, just look to history. You're going to see where the anti-French sentiment, I mean, come on, man. That's what it is, fellas. Eswatini, which is this country right here, it's called Swaziland interchangeably. There's a big fight over there because they accepted criminals coming from America. You know, they say they're not a dumpster for Trump. And Senegalese have recuperated all their military site from France. God bless.